Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bright Spots. It is great to see you. So for those of you who are maybe just viewing us for the first time, this is an interactive show. So we want you to comment below. Just comment, tell us where you're at, who you're here to see. If it's our guest, tell us what your questions are for our guest tonight. We definitely want this to be an interactive show. We want you to join in the conversation. So I'm really excited about this upcoming season, and I shared most of this with you last week, but in case you missed it, we have some great guests on the slate for this year. We have, of course, tonight is Phillip Carl, and last week was Holly Lewis. We have Baden Woodford from St. Clairsville, Ohio. And then we have Dr. Patricia Talbot. And I really want you to make sure you tune in for Patricia Talbot. She has some wonderful solutions for a patchwork world. I love that. Isn't that just a wonderful sentiment to think about that? And then we have, in October, we have Paula Kramer's coming back to the studio. She was part of our end of the year panel in May. So I want you to tune back in to hear what's going on with Paula. We have Georgina Ligori all the way from New York City, and she has some wonderful stories to tell us, and she wants to talk about her new exciting endeavor. Janine Rivers-Coburn is with us on the 27th, and you're not going to want to miss Janine. She's got an incredible story as well. And Denise Thomas on the 10th of October, or I'm sorry, the 20th of October. The 13th of October will be a remote show. We will be broadcasting that show from Lake Waccamaw, North Carolina. So tune in, and maybe I'll share the canoe with you, or the the kayak. Maybe I'll broadcast from the kayak on the lake. That could be interesting, right? All right, so we round out the year. November, we have Charmaine Hammond. Charmaine has a new movie out, and you're going to want to hear all about that. She's an incredible philanthropist, doing incredible work in the moviescape, in the mediascape. So I really want you to tune in and hear what Charmaine is doing and what her latest project is all about. We have Michelle St. James on November the 10th, and Michelle is in Bermuda. She will be coming to us live from Bermuda. So she's going to talk to us a little bit about the real estate scape down there and how it is opened up, and there's lots available down there. If you're looking at going into business in that area, she can certainly help you out. And then we have on November the 17th, Natasha Williams. Natasha was part of that panel as well in May, and Natasha's going to come on and talk about her travel business. October 1st is Kim Combs. We're going to finish the third season December 1st with Kim Combs. And Kim has a business, and it is called Bright Spots, believe it or not. So I want you to come back on December the 1st and hear about the synergy between what I do here on my Bright Spots talk show and what Kim Combs does with her Bright Spots business. And I think that you are going to be pleasantly surprised and inspired and encouraged by what each of these guests has to bring to us. I truly am excited you've decided to join us. We have a comment in the book, and we have Michelle has joined us. Hello, Michelle. Glad to see you. Please let us know where you are tuning in from. We would love to know where you are at. Again, if you're tuning in, comment below. Let us know you're here. Tell us who you are and what you're doing, what brought you here. And if you've got questions for our guest, please, please, please have those ready. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Phillip Carl. Phillip is one of the owners of Warwood Media, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about a lot of stuff. So hold on to your hat, folks. This is going to be a great show. Phillip is a 34-year-old father of two beautiful daughters, Emma and Elizabeth. Emma is 9, Elizabeth is 3. He married Laura, who he met in college 9 years ago. He is a 2005 graduate of John Marshall High School, a 2010 graduate of WVU with a bachelor's in journalism, with a major in advertising and a minor in communications. He worked in local advertising at WTOV TV9 from 2011 to 2015. I'm going to let him tell you the rest of his story, as Paul Harvey would say, right? He's going to tell us the rest of his story. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Phillip Carl. Hey, Phillip.
Hey, Lori, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Hey, it is great to have you in the studio. And so what's going on, Carl? Tell us, your bio had a lot of information in it about where you started and how you got started, but you're a local boy, born and raised here in the Ohio Valley. And so tell us, how did you get to own your own business? What did the path look like to get you there?
A glutton for punishment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, the bio was spot on. I'm a born and bred Ohio Valley kid. Grew up in Glendale, West Virginia, just north of Moundsville. Did college in Morgantown and then moved back to Wheeling and have been here ever since. Got into advertising at Channel 9 in 2011. Was my first real kid job out of college. And Warwood Tool was a wild derivation from that. So you track the advertising degree with the advertising job with the advertising agency, all kind of makes sense. And then Warwood Tool is plotted right there in the middle, like a big question mark. And that was one of those things that just kind of came to pass. So I grew up in a pretty entrepreneurial family. My dad was the third generation plumber pipe fitter, left a long time job to start his own business in 1996. And friends that I kept time with in college, the guys I lived with, came from similar backgrounds. Their parents were very entrepreneurial, and they always had that business minded spirit. And as all great things are born from, I was sitting around on a Friday evening drinking beer with a buddy, and it was just kind of that stirring. Like, he was complaining a little bit about his job, I was complaining a little bit about mine, thinking there's got to be something else, something more out there for us. And we had this by gum conclusion that we're going to go find something. We don't know what it is, but my dad's owned a business, your dad owned a business. We can figure it out. It can't be that hard, right? So off we set on the path of discovery to find business. And it really was as ambiguous as that. We just thought that we were going to go find something, and just started poking our heads around.
So you found that you had a love for media. Obviously, you went to school for advertising and communication and journalism. Was your hope when you went to college to have your own media business, or was that a stretch, or did you have that in the back of your mind?
No, my mother always had these visions of me becoming a doctor, and the good Lord saw fit to not bless me with that talent. And so I went to WVU as an early admit engineering student. I was going to do, I think it was chemical engineering I had signed up for, and God only knows why. It sounded good. They made a lot of money, and sure, let's do that sort of a thing. And that lasted for a half a semester, and the engineering department promptly wrote my parents and said, please take him back. So my adventure in engineering lasted all of 4 months. And then it was one of those soul searching adventures, right? So now what? I was, I had it in my head from the time I was in the 9th grade that I was going to be an engineer. And in 4 months, the world had spat me back out. So then you go to business school, right? Because why not? You can do anything with a business degree. And then from the business school, I found public relations. And then from public relations, I found advertising. And in advertising, I found copywriting. So at WVU, you would think the business and marketing school, the business and communication school would have advertising and marketing in it, but it doesn't. That's actually under the journalism school. So I went and took a copywriting course and just absolutely fell head and heels in love with it, and stuck. So I kind of landed as a displaced engineering, business, PR, whatever student, and finally kind of landed in journalism, and took a couple of years of journalism classes that turned into deeper advertising theory, copywriting classes, and that was all she wrote.
That's great. And you met your beautiful bride and married.
We did.
Had a couple of kids.
We did.
So when did you decide you wanted to do video production and advertising marketing? And I know that started at Warwood Tool. So walk us through that, how you started doing that and how that became the business that you have today.
Right. So Warwood Tool was the perfect breeding ground for opportunity. It was ripe for the picking. It had a history of just absolutely legendary owners who had either retired and moved away or who had passed on. So it was just kind of hanging out there in limbo, just doing enough to pay the bills. And, like I was saying earlier, we just kind of started asking around. So we asked my dad, my partner, Logan Hartle, his dad, and we just started poking around to some local community friends. And a friend of a friend said, hey, I know this guy. I went to high school with this guy whose dad owns this business, sort of a thing. And we stumbled across Warwood Tool and found, just this absolute manufacturing monster, the shell of a manufacturing monster, and just fell in love with the place. We had no interest in manufacturing ever. We just kind of found it. And the further we dug into the business, as we took a look at not just the financials and can we literally afford to do this and make the numbers make sense, but what are the skill sets that business needs to be successful? And my partner was an industrial engineer by trade and had managed a couple manufacturing facilities at the time. The sales, you talk about a plateau, they were historically predictable. It was just an absolute line across the page year after year. So they were fairly stagnant. And we thought that, with a marketing and sales background, I could do a little work there. And we just kind of stumbled into it. And this business that needed an industrial engineer and a sales guy, we thought, man, that's us. So we jumped in really without much hesitation, and it took us about 9, maybe 10 months from offer to signature by the time we had purchased the business. And then you start doing your real diligence of learning day-to-day operations and personalities and personnel. And, you realize like, hey, we haven't had a new company catalog in 15 years, and the website is 4 years old, and tools aren't updated and pictures aren't updated. So we kind of got forced into the production side of things, if you will, a little unexpectedly. I suppose we really kind of never saw that coming. It was just a manifestation of what the business needed.
So you jump into this manufacturing business, you start doing the marketing, you rebuild the website. Was it profitable? Did you bring the sales up? Did you see that line go up?
Profitability is in the eye of the beer holder, I think is what they say. We were always a break-even proposition. So you take a business that was historically break-even, you add 2 new salaries to it, you're already in the hole. In the first 2 years, we had increased sales about 25%. So we were generating new business. We were kind of reigniting some of these old fires with industry partners that we had. A couple of years down the road, we had started exploring international sales and made contacts in Mexico and in Canada, and had shipped some tools to Australia and the UK. So sales were increasing. But where the marketing portion really came in was a whole new line development. So Warwood Tool forever and ever was it's a hand tool company. So they continue still today to forge very basic non-powered hand tools like sledgehammers and crowbars and pry bars and things of that nature. So the industries that they serve require those tools like coal mining and railway track maintenance, heavy industrial construction. And we had been taken to a trade show by an industry partner that was geared towards firefighting and breaching and law enforcement application, because there's a need for some hand tools in that market. And as we're walking around this trade show, we see a tool and we're like, oh, we can make that. And is what really kind of put the fire in our bellies for what eventually became Warwood Tactical, which was a new line that we had launched in 2016. We started to develop it. 17, we really started to put some manufacturing dollars behind it. But the whole idea is that we were going to have this separate line of tools that were going to be breaching elements. So, big heavy hammers and pry bars for law enforcement and firefighters. And we went, wow, this is a great idea. These are really cool ideas and cool tools, cool concept. We have no material. We have to create every piece of collateral for every platform that any type of retail product needs. So we had to go into another website. We needed product photos and demonstration videos and trifolds and mailers, and the list goes on and on. And at the time, we had been doing business with local hardware store ICR Supply, who's still in Bel Air and expanding to this day. And a sales rep for them at the time was a young guy. His name was Tim. And Tim and I would travel around to local coal mines and sell hand tools. And we'd take guys lunch and go knock on doors and see if anybody needed sledgehammers. And I'm singing my blues to Tim in the truck one day about, I need a videographer. I need this. And he says, I'm a videographer. I've been producing my own videos for, at the time, it was like 10 years, more in the wedding side. He had done a lot of years in wedding videography, but had done some local commercial production. So we brought Tim in, and he and an older partner at the time had made our first round of Warwood Tool and Warwood Tactical videos. And then when Warwood Tactical really launched in 2018, we offered Tim a position at Warwood Tool to come in and kind of be like our office secretary. But 4 days a week, he was production. We were making all that collateral, all that material I was talking about. And that's kind of where Warwood Media came from, was the need to supplement video and photo material for the retail line of tools we were making at Warwood Tool Company.
Okay, so you've met Tim.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot there.
Have a videographer. And you still have this manufacturing business that you're creating videos for and collateral for. And so now this is where you decide maybe we should just do this instead of that.
Can we monetize it? Yeah. And that never really was the goal. We never put Warwood Media together because we thought we were going to sell it. We put it together because we needed it. And then you get a phone call and it's, hey, who made that video? Or, hey, who took those photos? Or, hey, can you recommend somebody? Or, you used to work in advertising. What do you know? So we, at the time, were industry partners with the West Virginia Manufacturers Association, that we were doing lobbying work with just on behalf of Warwood Tool Company. And we kind of came up with this idea in partnership with the WVMA of putting together facility tours, because we had done a facility tour of Warwood Tool. And we put together this series called Made with West Virginia Pride with the WVMA, that we traveled the state with the association and would do all of these factory tours to highlight products made in the state of West Virginia. And we kind of came up with this concept together, and they were like, well, what's it going to cost us? And we thought, oh, we can charge for this. We should start charging for this. We're going to charge for this. Let's incorporate. So that Warwood Media was really kind of just not a stroke of luck, but I mean, it just kind of organically snowballed from something. And we incorporated in 2018, made Tim a partner in that. And then it grew really kind of word of mouth. And we really didn't have a lot of time to put into Warwood Media, to be honest. There really wasn't, this line of demarcation where we said, we're going to stop selling tool and we're going to start selling media. We would pick up clients as we could. So we did this thing with the WVMA for a while, and had, I'd say, from 2019 through the start of 2020, maybe like 3 or 4 people we would do work for, mostly the WVMA. If they would have an event, can you make a video for this event? Or, some sort of education course. Worked with a couple of customers here and there, but nothing that was ever really agency principle. We were never like, we're going to manage your money. We're going to help you come up with strategy. It was just these offshoot projects, because for the most part, I mean, Logan and I were still working 50 hours a week at Warwood Tools, so there was no time to go sell Warwood Media. That push came at the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020. We had been having conversations for a few months at that point that we thought we were going to sell Warwood Tool Company. The investment and the repairs needed in the facility at that point in time were a little bit beyond our pocketbook. So we had started to quietly market the sale of the operating company, and just have those natural conversations of, cool, we're going to sell this business. Then what? We still got to earn a living. What are we going to do? So as we started to wind down with Warwood Tool, we started to ramp up with Warwood Media, and gave me time to get more involved with the things that I love. So, at that point in time, I'd been managing a multi-million-dollar manufacturing company for almost 5 years. It gives you a lot of perspective on business management, and certainly a profound respect for spending people's money, as having been the guy that had to write the check for a while. So, I thought let's get into this with both feet, and it gave us time to get back into business strategy and marketing strategy, and helping people with more than just, I can shoot this video. What about the long-term health and wellness of your marketing holistically? And for the next 6 months until we sold Warwood Tool, we kind of split time between, every other day would be Warwood Media, Warwood Tool. And then we sold Warwood Tool in May of 2020. And that was it. We were full steam ahead with Warwood Media.
So it's really interesting to me. And, full disclosure, I've been working with Phil for about a year now, a little over a year, on a couple of projects. And I didn't realize that your business truly had just gotten started in 2020, mid 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
When a lot of businesses were struggling for a lot of reasons. So why do you think you've been successful in finding clients, because let's face it, there are other media companies out there. There are other advertising agencies,
Yeah,
and you are a full service agency, correct? You do
correct.
pretty much everything. Um, so what do you credit your success to? Why do you think you're still getting clients? You're still really growing, and you started in the middle of a pandemic, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, God bless my wife. So the conversation we had when we sold Warwood Tool, um, so I told her, she was obviously abreast of the Warwood Tool thing, and I said, we're going to sell Warwood Tool, and I really, really believe in Warwood Media. I have this feeling in my heart. I believe in it, and I think it can be something really special. Will you give me 6 months to make it work? Because at this point, my salary's done. They bought Warwood Tool. I'm out the door. I said, give me 6 months to make my salary work. And if by November, because we sold in May, I said, if by November, December, we don't have justifiable means of putting me back on salary, then I'll go get a job. I can at least sleep at night saying that I tried, right? Like we gave it the old college go and it just didn't work out. And we laugh because I took my first salary paycheck from Warwood Media in November of 2020. So, one of the motivators is not having a paycheck. So you want to feed your children and stay in your home and be a provider, you better go get after it. So we did that for about 5 or 6 months. But I think one of the things that really sets us apart, that Tim and I, my partner, now take a lot of pride in, is perspective and appreciation. So and this, you've been in marketing your entire career as well. There are a million ways to solve a problem. To look at a marketing solution and say, this is what you have to do, it just doesn't exist anymore. So I think if you're able to meet a customer where they're at and have humility and respect for the process and what they need as opposed to what you want, and find a good middle ground, how to create a good environment for that, I think that breeds success. And one of the things that I had mentioned earlier that gives us that perspective is I've worked on both sides of this line. So the first 5 years of my career, I was just budget focused. Let me sell this product. I work in advertising, but all I really cared about was just sell the product. And then the next 5 years was spent talking to people that were trying to sell me the product. And I was the guy that had to write the check. And it gave me a lot of perspective on rationale-based marketing. I had a real deep appreciation for, okay, cool, let's write this check, but why? What's it going to do? So it solves this problem now, but I've got 2, 3, 4, 5 problems down the road, and how does this play a role in those things? So we do a really good job at bringing that experience to the table and understanding what it's like to ask somebody for money, to take somebody's money. Cashing a check for whether it's production or advertising is a sacred thing. I mean, you're taking somebody's money and they're investing their opportunity that they could invest in inventory or human collateral or research and development, and they're giving it to you saying, make me money on my money. And we have a real profound respect for that. And we have a lot of experience in not just the paid side, but the creative and paying side, and having to be creative to start a business and grow a social media account and develop a website that can attract customers and sell product, and really staking our claim in an industry. So, I don't know what success ultimately looks like. I want to do this as long as possible. I don't know if I would classify us as successful. We're really thankful to be in a position where we can continue to do what we do every day for a living. And our motivator is to fight real hard to find more clients, because we believe that we provide a service to people. And I want to find as many customers as humanly possible so I can help people, give people better perspectives and understanding on marketing opportunities, and help them grow their business, which in turn allows me to do what I love and continue to work in a business and industry that I really care about. So that's our hamster wheel.
I love it. So let's take a minute and show folks your website,
Yeah, cool.
Warwood Media. I presume has built their own website.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
So this is the website for Warwood Media, and we had that up on the screen a little bit ago. That was warwoodmedia.com, easy to remember. And when you come here, I was excited when I came in and kind of played around in the website, because there are a lot of cool things in here. You can see some of the videos that they've produced, some of the commercials. You can also see Phil talk about fractional content creation, which we're going to talk a little bit about, because I think it's a really cool offering that maybe sets you apart from other agencies. I think that this is something that other folks maybe don't offer. And I don't know that for sure. I know that when I saw it on your website, it's the first time I've seen something like that. You can see a menu of their services that they offer. And photography and video is kind of what you hang your hat on, correct?
Yeah. It was what the business was built on. We added, the traditional agency service of ad placement and consultation and strategy after the fact, but we started as a production company. Yeah.
Okay. You can check out past clients and see who has been using Warwood Media. I think you might want to add Common Spirit Health.
You were right there at the top. There. Oh.
Yeah, you have Dignity and Trinity, but not Common Spirit.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll get you that logo. Yeah, so I mean, really cool stuff here on the website. If you get a chance, folks, go check it out, warwoodmedia.com. And you can, we have a comment from somebody that says, what a great perspective. And I'm guessing that she's talking about your approach to marketing as a whole. Just really cool stuff. Jimmy Payne is tuning in. Hi, Jimmy. It's good to see you. And our good buddy, Wendy Anderson from Brookside and the St. Clairsville Chamber. Good to see you. We have Dorothy Sizzler from Mingo Junction, Ohio. Hi, Dorothy. Dorothy's a regular here at the broadcast, so we love seeing those regulars pop in. So if you are just tuning in, please make a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We would love to know you're here and what brought you here and where you're tuning in from. So tell us a little bit about fractional creation. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah. So we fractional services, and we do fractional services were created kind of in two platforms to start. It was social media management and then content creation. They kind of went hand in hand for us. And the idea was built, again, out of that perspective we got from owning a business. So when anybody out there that owns their own business knows you better have good attorneys, you better have good CPAs, you better have good HR, whether that's internal or external. And as we're getting these bills and paying for these services, we see all these hourly charges or retainer charges. And we thought, man, it'd be really cool if I could work, like if there was an advertising component that worked on a bank of hours, if you could pay a flat rate and know what you were going to get so you could budget for it. Because one of the things that people don't consider that we were faced with in a lot, I'm sorry to hit the table, that we were faced with in a lot of different segments of our business was you spend so much money on it, I can almost afford to hire it in-house. So we thought, man, that'd be really cool if you could have an agency act as like your internal marketing department, but it was budgetable, so you knew what you were going to spend and what you were going to get every month. And that's kind of where the idea for fractional services came up with. So, excuse me. So on one hand, we have our fractional content creation, and it works just as I explained it. So you can buy varying levels of hours. So you can buy 8 hours, 16 hours, 32 hours per month, and you get a full battery of our services within that block of hours. So we come in and we work with you on what are your goals and what are your ideas for the next 6, 9, 12 months? What do you need to accomplish? And we kind of put a priority list together and a ranker, 1 through 10, 1 through 50, whatever it may be, and then start to come up with some conceptual ideas. We can do XYZ for 1, 2, 3. And we think it's going to take this amount of time. These are the kind of ideas we're working with. And if you were to pay for that, as you well know, if you were to pay for project work from any agency, here, Pittsburgh, pick one, you could pay somewhere between $4,000 and $8,000 for a 30-second commercial. And it's just not feasible for people to build large volumes of content at that rate. You can't spend $200,000 a year to get out all of the messages. And then the other problem was, what are all the messages that you're not getting out? So traditional advertising always was, come up with 130 and then spend all your money and run just that one message over and over and over again, because you can't afford to make more. And then all the aspects of your business where you think, man, I'd love to talk about this, or man, I'd love to highlight this employee, you just can't afford to do, so you don't. And we kind of turn that model on its head, where we give you budgetable dollars for content creation in hour blocks. So I don't have to worry about, as a salesman, I don't have to worry about what am I going to sell next month, because I know you're going to be my customer on a repeat basis. And you don't have to worry about what am I going to spend next month? Is it going to cost me $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for one piece? Because you've got a highly discounted rate, and knowing that we have a bank of hours, I can just continue to churn through content. So instead of working on a project basis where it's here's your one piece, now you're done, I can work on a project basis and say, I got 2 pieces done and you still have 4 hours of time left. Let's start filming something else. And we kind of took that into the social media management world as well, where you get, so much service for so many dollars per month.
Yeah, I think that's a great approach, especially for smaller businesses that their dollars are limited. When you have a small business, and you know this because you owned a business, marketing dollars sometimes are the last thing you think about. For sure. But the old saying is true: you got to spend money to make money. And marketing and advertising is so important in any business, in any thing that you're going to do. You've got to let people know you're doing it. And the only way to do that is through marketing and advertising. So we are running close. Wow, we're over time, which is great. I love when my guests go over, because that means the content is interesting and engaging, and we still have people in the room, which is awesome. Good. So folks, this is your last chance to ask Phillip Carl of Warwood Media any questions that you might have about advertising, about marketing, about video production. And I will just say, from personal experience, Phil and Tim are an incredible team that do great work. From a video production standpoint, we've been extremely happy with what they've done for us.
Well, we appreciate you very much.
Absolutely. So I would put them up against anybody, local or nationally. So Thank you. I would encourage you to check out warwoodmedia.com if you're in the market for an agency that thinks outside the box and can deliver on what you need. I encourage you to reach out to Phil through his website, and check him out on Facebook. They've got some great content on Facebook too, talking about social media marketing. If you're going to sell it, you better know how to do it, right?
No doubt.
So they do it well. So please, if you get a chance. Phil, is there anything else you'd like to add before we close up the studio?
No, I appreciate you very much. Thank you for what you do for us. From an agency perspective, from a business perspective, you're a great friend. You're a blessing to this community. We appreciate all you do. And thank you for everybody that tuned in tonight. If you need to get a hold of us, warwoodmedia.com has a contact page. I'm P. Carl at warwoodmedia.com. We're pretty widely available. So again, just thank you for the opportunity. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Phil. And folks, that does it for another episode of Bright Spots. I encourage you to come back every week. Next week, we have another wonderful guest, and I hope you will join us then. And until then, remember, shine your light brightly, because we've got a light in this world. There's a lot going on, and people will put our light out every chance they get. So be a bright spot. Shine where you are. God bless you, and I'll see you next week.